Now, we have this one on the other side. What we're going to do is we're going to work with the one we have. We'll jump back into Mari. They're going to be very similar because they both will have been weathered the same and the texture will be the same, but we don't want to have too much. We want to make it a little bit more unique. So I'm going to find this bit of liming that we see on the texture here. I'm going to remove it. And I think we have one on the other side up here as well. I'm also going to remove. Okay, now we're going to keep everything else pretty much the same. I'm going to work on a new layer. I'm going to find a different sort of texture. This might be interesting. I'm just going to scale that back. I'm going to zoom in on the model a little bit more, get it angled right, maybe there like that. Scale it around, scale it up a bit more, rotate it a little. I'm on a new layer. I'm going to paint that in. And bake it down. Again, I'm just going to rotate that just a little, paint that through here. And bake it down. Go this way. Rotate it just a little. Paint it in, bake it down. Okay, now I'm just going to move that texture out of the way for a moment. No, I don't like that. No, let's see what it looks like with a light screen. I think a screen is better. Throw in another layer and rotate that around, scale it up a bit. I'm going to paint that in here. Okay, I'm going to bake that down. Move that off to the side. We may see what an adjustment layer looks on this. We'll throw an invert on it. Okay, we'll pull it back just a bit. Rotate it around. And again, I'm going to work on a new layer. bake it down, move it out of the way, and we're probably going to have to throw an invert on it. Yeah. So adjustment stack, invert, and pull it back just a bit. All right. And also, I just want to pop on another new layer. Going to jump down to the very bottom here. Find an interesting looking texture. You're interesting enough. Okay, I'm going to angle the model forward. Move that texture into place, working on a new layer. Just going to paint that in here. Again, we're more concerned with the dark part of the texture, not the white part. Bake that down. Bake it down. Just going to move the texture along a bit so it's a little different. Okay, we'll bake it down. Through here. We'll bake that down. I'm just going to head to the corners, grab more of the black of the texture and paint that in. Bake it down. Bake it down. Okay, let's just move that out of the way for a moment. Go with the multiply and pull it back. Something like that. Okay, let's export that flattened. We're going to call this one Painted R2. We'll just save our Mari file real quick. Okay, now we'll jump back into 3D Studio Max. I'm going to grab that model. If the axis is ever off the model like it is shown here, just go into your effect pivot and send it to object. That'll move it right back into the middle again. Just makes it easier if it's in the center of the object to move it around. Okay, let's hold down the Shift key and drag a copy. Again, if that ever happens, just go back into your URL, Utilities tab, Channel Info, select the original and copy UV Channel 1 and paste it into UV Channel 2. All right. Let's go back into our material editor. Create a new material. And this is Painted R2, is the one we want. Pipe that into the diffuse channel and turn on Show Shaded and Show Realistic. Let's assign it to that copy we just made. Alright, let's just move it into place. So we'll go into the top viewport and move it over. So this is Top Deco. Let's rename this. This is Top Deco Right. I'm just going to call that Old. I'm going to call this one Top Deco Right. I'm going to move that into place and select the old one and delete it. Okay, so now we have, let's go into full screen here. No, I don't want that. Now we have our two decorations on either side using slightly different texture maps so they don't look identical. You've got this one which has a dirt pattern at the top, this one which doesn't, this one which doesn't have the dirt pattern on the base, and this one which does. Okay. So what have we got left to do now? We've got to do these two short columns here on either side. So as I said, let's save our file because we're still working with the recovery file. So we'll save as. I'm going to jump into my folder here and I'll call this one 7. R7, which is revision 7. That's just the way I like to keep up with my saves. I don't save over the same file all the time. I increment them up after I've done a bit of work. That way I can always go back if I want to change something. So all right. Select that column and again we'll go into isolation mode where we'll ungroup. Again it's a mesh so we'll make it a poly and we'll attach. There's no material on the object at the moment so that doesn't really matter. And now if I hover over it, anything that isn't attached will highlight for me so I know those two pieces there. Everything else, if nothing pops up then you know you've got everything. You can also use the attach list here, which is that one. I prefer to do it by hand. Alright, let's go out of isolation. We'll call this one, what do we call this one? Front column left. We'll call this one B column left. B column left. I'm not going to rename this one because I'm going to copy this one over to this side once we've textured it up. It saves us a bit of work, and if we, because this is a square, if we rotate the we don't even have to create two separate textures. If we rotate the column around, you won't notice that it's using the same texture. So let's throw on a base color texture. Back up, back up. Again, this one here, we'll assign that. We'll throw on a box map just to get it all ready. I'm just going to collapse that. Okay, we'll throw on unwrap UVW. We will work with map channel 2. We'll move the UVs across. Open the UV editor. Let's hope Max doesn't crash on us. Select the UVs. Do a flatten mapping. Okay. And again, I'm going to turn off map seams and pelt seams so I can see the model. Deselect the UVs. We're going to go to render to texture. Again, if Max's interface goes funky like this, just adjust the size and it'll pop back up. We're going to use existing channel 2. We're going to add a diffuse map. We'll make it 2048 on these. They're a bit larger than the deco piece we were working on before. Let's save it out. We want to work in our rework folder. We're saving it as a targa. B column left is fine. I'm just going to remove diffuse map from the end. You can leave it on if you like. .tga, we're saving it as a 24-bit. Okay, so we have our map channel, our diffuse map, our path, and our size. We'll hit render. All right, let's close those down and get our texture shader ready so that when we come back from Mari, we'll be able to see it straight away. So we'll go back down to the bottom here. Throw in a standard map, our bitmap. And this one's called B column left.tga. Let's pipe that into the diffuse channel. And again, we'll show shaded and show realistic. And again, we'll assign it to the object. And it will go all funky. So let's fix that up by going to our utilities panel, channel info, copying map channel 2 into channel 1, and clearing out channel 2. All right. Now let's go File, Export. Hang on, that's not what I want. Let's go File, Export, Export Selected because we have it selected here in the viewport. And this one is B column left, B column left. Again, I'm just going to copy that name. We're saving it as an OBJ, so save, export. Okay. Let's jump back into Mari. Make sure we've saved our project here. We'll create a new project. All right, now we're calling it B column left. Again, I'm just going to move my temp directory. Let's load up that OBJ we just exported. We're going to create a color map at 2048. And didn't change my path here. Okay, create a color map at 2048. We have our object and our project name. So we'll go OK. All right. Let's go into flat shaded so we can get a better view of our texture and go into our color channel and import into layer stack. Go back into our folder. And B column left.tga, that's the one we want, so we'll import all patches. Alright, let's just rotate that back around a bit. Throw in a new layer and bring in some textures. Okay, I'll open that up. Okay, let's just bring in a few more. We'll go up a couple of levels, and this is the one I think we want. Okay, we'll open that up. Like I said, if you prefer a different paint package, Substance Painter is really good. You can do this sort of thing in Photoshop as well. I just like the 3D paint package because I can see the model I'm painting on as I'm painting it on. Whereas Photoshop, you generally got to paint on the model, on the texture, jump back into the 3D program and do that a few times to see the changes that you're making. This way you see it live. So that's why I use Marion. Okay, let's see now. We've got our new layer. Once again, we're going to keep everything consistent. So we're going to use the same texture we've been using for the other models. Just going to scale that in a little. Rotate my model. Actually, I'm going to look. I'm not going to turn on. Or will I? I will. I'll actually turn on masking for this, I think. So I've turned on edge mask. I've got my model front on. Just going to rotate my texture a little. Okay. Paint that in. Bake it down. Rotate it around. Rotate my texture a little bit. We'll paint that in, bake it down. Rotate it. Maybe move it just a bit like that. Bake that down. And again, I'm going to rotate my texture a bit, move it over a little. And bake it down. Oh, paint it in, then bake it down. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to turn masking off. I'm going to don't want that. Now I'm going to start tidying up the texture we just painted in a bit. I'm not concerned with that part just yet. I'm mainly concerned with just the front, the bits that we see directly on the front here. And if you're painting over bits that you've painted in, that's fine. It just blends it together more. Adds a bit more variety, so it's always a good thing. Okay, let's just move the texture a bit. Bake that down. And I'm basically just just concerned with the edges here now at the moment. Maybe move the texture a little, just to blend those edges in a bit better. Bake that down. Same goes with the top here. I'm just going to blend them in a bit more. Bake it down. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay. Now I'm just going to work my way from the top down the front of the model. So I'm just going to work on an angle here like this. I'm concerned with the light part of the texture, so I'm just going to rotate the texture around. Start painting that in. And bake it down. Rotate it around. And I'm working on the edges here like this so I can get into these little areas here that are recessed much more easily. So again, just bake. Just work with the edges of the model and work your way around. Paint that in, bake it down. Rotate it around, working with the edge. Doing a bit more blending as I come up here towards the top. I don't want to do that though, I don't want that texture to show up. Bake that down. Bake that down. Alright, let's move to the base here. I'm going to use the darker part of the texture here. Again, start at the bottom and work our way up into the middle again. Bake it down. Again, just working on each color. I'm actually going to angle it up just slightly like that as well. Okay, we'll bake that in. Bake that down. I'm just going to come back here and just do something a little bit different with this bit here. Just bringing it up a little. Bringing back a bit more of that dirt through here. Bake that down. Move the texture slightly so it's a little different. I'm actually going to bring in a bit more of the lighter one here. I'll bring that down just a bit. Through there. Like that, bake it down. Alright, now let's have a look at the tops here. And for this I am going to go back into the project folder and turn masking back on, edge masking on. I'm going to rotate it around and we're going to work with the darker grey, I think. So I'm just going to paint in what I can see here and here and here. Again, we've got masking on, so it shouldn't be affecting our sides. Let's check that. It's not affecting our sides, but I don't like the look of that texture just through here, so I'm just going to rotate that around and throw in, it's not what I want. Just throw in a bit of darker color down here through the middle of the model, so it's a little different, a little broken up. Like that. Okay, we'll go back to our tops here. We'll rotate it around. Paint that in, bake it down. Rotate it around. Paint it in, bake it down. And it looks like we are getting a bit of stretching happening here at the front. That's okay, we'll fix that up. Rotate it around. Paint that in. And bake it down. Let's fix up that little corner there again, turning masking back off again. Rotating our texture back around. Let's go with that corner there like that. Just paint that in, bake it down. See if it made any errors anywhere. Maybe just looks like here it may have thrown a line in that we didn't want, so let's angle it forward a little and just paint that in there like that. And bake it down. Okay. Now I'm just going to paint in the top here, because there's an urn that sits on top of this, but you do see the edges, so we will paint that in. I'm going to work with the lighter part of the texture though. So the ones on the outside edge here is fine, I don't have to worry about. As I get closer to this edge, I've got to be a bit more careful that I don't go over too much. I'm just going to bake that down. And see, I went over it there. I'm just going to fix that really quickly. And here it looks like it's done some stretching. If I turn masking on it, it would have stopped that from happening, but it's easy enough to paint out anyway, so it's not really an issue. Bake that down. Same with this bit just here. Again, I'm angling it forward. Paint that in. Or paint that out, I should say. Bake it down. The other edges are okay, so. Now I might just throw a bit of dark through here, so I'm going to just paint in a little darkness around the edges here. Again, I'm going to rotate the texture around. rotate it around. And I see a spot on the base that we need to fix as well, so we'll do that in just a second. Paint that in. Bake it down. Now, where did I spot that? Here, on this corner. And again, just angle it up. I'm going to turn masking back on again. And just quickly paint that in. I'm just going to scale that up slightly. Rotate it around. Paint through here. Just to get rid of that bit of stretching we have just through there. Bake it down. Okay, let's turn masking off. Let's move our texture out of the way for a bit. Okay, let's quickly save our project there. All right, and we'll export flattened. Export everything flattened. Again, we'll just pop a star in here if we can't see it, and it's called back column left, and we're going to call it underscore painted.tga. Okay, we'll make sure we have saved our project. Let's just quickly jump back into Max, back into our material editor, and load up that painted one we just created, which is this one here. Alright, and there we have our painted column. We may actually leave it there for today, guys, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow. I'll be back on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the US. You can follow my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D. I always post 15 minutes before I'm about to go live, so you'll know that way. You can follow my channel, and Twitch should remind you just before or just as I go live. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow. See you guys.